Hi, this is Bishop Braswell again, coming to you with another powerful lesson that we have been given by the Holy Spirit. One of the things that we want to talk about this week is the power of being on one accord. Let me give some background and some foundational information. When we can pull ourselves together as one people, not necessarily as one people under one language, because we as black people alone have many different languages due to being spread out throughout many countries and many continents. So therefore, we have left our tribal languages or our original language in the history that we have been through. But basically what have happened is since we have came to America as slaves, this was not a language that we necessarily wanted to speak, but were forced to speak. And therefore, I found that the year that I visited Kenya, Africa, that each tribe has its own dialect. And because it have its own dialect or its own language, they get together on one central language, and that is English. Because they know that financially they can be much better off if they learn to speak English. And for that cause, this is a language that they wanted to adjust to. And what I find is that many people that comes, many Africans that comes to America have learned our language. Matter of fact, in most cases, they have learned it better than we as Afro-American people who live here in the continental North America and United States of America. And that is because they wanted to learn it. Our people have never wanted really to learn this language, but because of slavery, we were forced to learn the language of America. And a person does better when they are not forced to do something, but does it because this is what they wanted to do. And that's why still in America today, we have a problem with our own, with the language of America, because it was never really, it was never really because we wanted to learn the language, but simply because we were forced into the language. But now, what I've discovered is that, let me tell you how many of the Africans in Kenya feel. And I'm sure that it's all across the continent of Africa. They feel like that we are Josephs of the Bible, that we came to America, and yes, we went through slavery, even as Joseph was sold into slavery. Yet, because he was sold into slavery, he suffered many days, and even as we have suffered many days here in America. And now we are what I really consider really free, because the system is designed against us, and the system does not work for us. That's why we got so many of our young black boys in prison now, because the system is not designed for us. But what I want you to understand is that if we somehow or another could come together in unity and work together in unity, it would be the most powerful thing that could happen to us, our neighbors around us, and even the world. Because no matter what color we are, we all need to come together in unity and love each other. And what I find that we need a movement in this country of love, because with the racist things that we have going on this day and time, police killing hundreds and hundreds of black young men, we need to come together under the banner of love. And love is not just what the black race should come together under, but all races should come together under love. And let's look at the past. Let's forgive the things of the past. Let's forgive our counterparts for slavery and that kind of thing. Let us look to the future of working together, seeing how great and dynamic people we can become on planet Earth. And one of the things that I feel that it have to start with the black race. Amen. That we learn to love. That's why I was proud of the people in the church in South Carolina, Charleston. And when the family members got a chance to face their accuser, face their, face their prosecutor, and someone who decided to kill 9 of them in the church. One of the things that they did, they said, we forgive you. And that is an act of love. And that's what needs to happen with the many shootings that have taken place in our country with black folks and police at the other end of the spectrum working against us as black folks. And I can say that I'm proud of Rocky Mount. Rocky Mount may have issues, but we have not had a situation like have been happening across the country in Rocky Mount. And we pray to God that that would never happen in America or in Rocky Mount. But we need a movement of love, because love can bring us into unity. Love can bring us into the power and the glory of God that will cause us to shine like never before. Because God has shown his love for the black American family over many years in history. As I watch some of the historical programs that come on television, like in the Revolutionary War, there were black people that carried a very important role as working as spies to get information back to American counterparts, so that they could know where the different movements of the military was. But basically what I'm saying is that we have to come into unity of Christ. And unity works even when it is supposedly for evil. It works. Because let me deal with this matter. According to the book of Genesis chapter 11, when Nimrod and the people decided to build a tower unto heaven, whose height may reach unto heaven. And I look at how they got their plan together. They said, let us go to, let us take brick and burn them thoroughly in the fire, that we may have brick for stone. And then let us boil the mortar or the slime that we will use for mortar to put the bricks together. And they kept saying, let us go to, let us do, let us perform, and let us be in agreement one with another. Well, I want you to see that the Bible said, and this they began to do. And they began to build the Tower of Babel, and to work to get it to touch even the third heaven. Some say just touch the clouds, but no, that was not their intention. Their intention was to get to heaven apart from God, and that's a problem. That's a problem. But they were smart and intelligent people, because they knew in order to go up, they must go up in the levels of the atmosphere. And the final level of the atmosphere is called the thermosphere, where we get our word thermostat from, which means turn up the heat. And in the thermosphere, there is a fire that covers the whole globe. It's an invisible fire, and the temperature of it gets 2,730 degrees. And that is because when stars and meteorites headed for the earth, as they passed through that thermosphere, they would catch on fire and burn before they hit the earth. Now, but basically what I'm saying is this is why the people built the Tower of Babel out of fire bricks rather than regular bricks. Because fire bricks are burned in the fire so that you can put them in a fireplace. So that the fire will saturate them. And so when they use them, they will not crack up or break up because of the extensive heat of the fireplace. But what I need for you to understand, that they were trying to get to heaven apart from God. And there was the spirit of the Antichrist that was at work, simply because God had told them to spread out on the earth and multiply. But Nimrod wanted to keep the people together so that he could rule over the people from the governmental system. And then he been married to his wife Jezebel. She formed up false religions, and she wanted all the world to remain under false religion for 6,000 years. And he wanted the earth to remain under one governmental system for 6,000 years. Because if they had family members, sons and daughters, they can continue the dynasty for hundreds and thousands of years, where they will be in charge of us governmentally and also spiritually and religiously. And they wanted to be in control for years and years and years to come. But God did not want that. So God, what they were saying, let us go to and do, then God said, let us go down and confound their language. And in the word confound, except for the new modern books that have changed, but from your regular Hebrew, Greek, and Strong Concordance, you will not find the word confused there, but you find the word confounded there. And the reason for that is simply because God is not the author of confusion. He just changed their language so that they would not understand each other. And they called the place Babel because it sounded as if when they spoke to one another after the night of receiving their new language and having their larynx changed, the vocal cords from one place to another, so they all spoke different languages. Once they got up the next morning and decided that I'm going to work, we're going to finish what we have started, and we're going to reach all the way to heaven. And they was expected to reach all the way to heaven. But look at what God said about them. God said to them, said about them, now the people is one. Now that which they have imagined will not be restrained from them. Wow, that is powerful. Because you image and imagine stuff in your mind, and the place of your power is in the mind. Matter of fact, let me take you to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6 verse 5, which says, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all of thy heart, all of thy soul, and all of thy might. Now, Jesus changes the word might to mind in St. Matthew chapter 22 verse 37. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all of thy heart, all of thy soul, and all of thy mind. He He changed the word might to mind to show you where the power lieth. And if we can get together on one accord, and this is what I keep references to, when we can get together and say, let us, not y'all, not you, not they, not them, but us. Because when we can get us together and get on one accord, then there will be nothing that we have imagined that will be restrained from us. And so we must not imagine evil things. We must imagine good things. Because if you look at the writing of Christ, you find out, or the speakings of Christ, you find out that when he's talking to us, he uses the word us. He don't say Braswell or Johnson or Farmer, but what he says is us. He does not individualize us, but he put all of us together to let us know that if we can just get together and use our power for good and not evil. And since we can use it for good, then we are to use it for good, and he will never even consider stopping us. Even in the prayers that Jesus prayed, he never used the term they, or he never used the term and called individual name, but he used the term us and them. And using that made everybody inclusive into what God wanted to do and wanted to accomplish. That's why in the Lord's Prayer, he said, say our Father, not just my Father, not just your Father. And some folks want to use the term Father like if you do something to me, my daddy gonna get you. Like you're the only child that he got. And you're not the only child that he got. He got billions of children. And so therefore, he used the term our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Now, but basically what he was using, what he wanted to do is he used terms like us. Give us our daily bread. Because guess what? When you're praying, somebody else is hungry beside you. And so I'm getting ready to close this thing down right now, but we'll do the next part very soon. God bless you.